The night was alive with laughter, music, and the sound of glasses clinking in the lavish ballroom of the company's annual celebration. Everyone seemed to be having the time of their lives, dancing, drinking, and forgetting, at least for one night, the stress of looming deadlines and endless responsibilities. But in the middle of it all stood Daniel, a single father in his mid-30s, quietly sipping on a glass of water. He wasn't there to party. He wasn't there to loosen up. He was there because attendance was mandatory, and because the woman who held his future in her hands, his boss, Victoria Sterling, was known to notice who respected company traditions and who didn't. Daniel wasn't like the others. While most of his colleagues left the office behind when they clocked out, he went home to something far more demanding than spreadsheets and presentations, his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Ever since his wife had passed away in a tragic car accident 5 years earlier, Daniel's life had revolved around Lily. She was his reason to wake up, his motivation to work hard, and his reminder to keep going even on days when grief still weighed heavy on his chest. That night, as he sat in the corner of the ballroom, Daniel thought of Lily asleep at home under the care of his elderly neighbor. He hated leaving her, but he also knew he couldn't afford to lose this job. Every paycheck meant groceries, school supplies, rent, and stability for the little girl who depended on him. Then, as the clock neared midnight, a situation unfolded that would change everything. Victoria, his boss, a woman in her early 40s with an intimidating reputation in the corporate world, stumbled out of the crowd, her heels wobbling, her eyes glassy. She was known for her ironclad discipline, her sharp tongue, and her almost frightening ability to command a room. But tonight, she wasn't the unshakable executive everyone feared. Tonight, she was just a woman who had gone one drink too far. "Daniel," she slurred, spotting him across the room. You're the responsible one here, aren't you?" She leaned heavily on him, nearly losing her balance. "Can you take me home? My driver left hours ago." The room fell quiet around them. Daniel felt dozens of eyes watching. Some of his colleagues smirked, others whispered. Everyone knew that driving the boss home, especially in this condition, was risky. If she forgot, if she got angry, if she felt embarrassed later, he could lose everything. But Daniel wasn't the kind of man who could walk away. Not when someone was vulnerable. Not when he thought of Lily and the lessons he wanted to teach her about compassion. "Of course," Daniel said softly, steadying her by the arm. "Let's get you home safe." The ride was quiet at first. Victoria dozed off in the back seat, murmuring incoherent words about her life, fragments of things no one in the office had ever heard her speak of. About a marriage that had crumbled. About children she never had. About loneliness that grew louder when the lights dimmed. Daniel listened, his heart heavy. For the first time, he saw her not as the powerful boss who demanded perfection but as a human being carrying pain she had hidden behind designer suits and polished speeches. When they arrived at her luxurious penthouse, she struggled with the keys, nearly dropping them. Daniel gently helped her inside, guiding her to the couch. She clutched his hand for a moment, her voice trembling. Do you ever get tired of being strong, Daniel?" she whispered before sleep finally overtook her. That question haunted him all night. The next morning, Daniel expected trouble. He imagined her calling HR, accusing him of crossing lines, or firing him on the spot out of embarrassment. He even rehearsed how he would explain everything if it came down to defending himself. But when he walked into the office, his heart pounding, something entirely different happened. Victoria asked to see him. Her usual cold, commanding tone was gone. She looked at him with red-rimmed eyes, but not from anger. From humility. "Daniel," she began quietly, "thank you for last night. I don't even want to imagine what could have happened if someone else had driven me, or worse, if I had tried to drive myself. You didn't take advantage. You didn't judge me. You simply helped. That's rare." Daniel said nothing, just nodded, unsure what to say. She studied him for a moment, then leaned forward. "I know more about you than you think. I know about your daughter. I know you've been working overtime without complaint, that you never say no, even when the workload is unfair. I also know that we don't pay you nearly what you deserve." Daniel's throat tightened. "I don't do this for recognition, ma'am. I do it for my daughter. She's all I have." Victoria's expression softened in a way no one in the office would have believed possible. "Then let me help you, Daniel." Starting today, I'm promoting you. Higher pay, better hours, more flexibility. You've proven yourself in ways that no performance review could capture. For the first time in years, Daniel felt hope swelling in his chest. He thought of Lily, of being able to give her more, of no longer worrying if rent would swallow half his paycheck. But the journey wasn't without challenges. Some colleagues resented him, spreading rumors that he had earned his promotion because of what happened that night. Others whispered cruelly that he had played the sympathy card as a single dad. It stung, but Daniel reminded himself of what truly mattered: his daughter's smile, her security, her future. And over time, his work ethic silenced the doubters. Victoria, too, faced her own uphill battle. A woman who had once been untouchable now showed glimpses of vulnerability, and not everyone in the corporate world respected that. But Daniel's presence reminded her that strength wasn't about walls, it was about kindness, about the courage to admit you're human. As the months passed, an unlikely friendship grew between the strict boss and the devoted single father. She mentored him, opening doors he never thought possible. And in return, Daniel reminded her what it meant to trust, to feel, to be more than just a title on a business card. Years later, as Daniel sat in the front row of Lily's graduation, Victoria by his side, he thought back to that night. The laughter, the whispers, the weight of his decision to help when it would have been easier to walk away. One act of compassion had changed everything. And that was the message he carried with him, the message he shared with Lily, the message he wanted the world to hear. That kindness, even when it costs you, has the power to transform lives in ways you can't imagine. Sparkle's final note for viewers. If this story touched your heart, I want to hear your thoughts. Would you have done the same thing if you were in Daniel's shoes? Leave a comment below and share your perspective. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Be Kind Always, for more stories that remind us of the power of compassion, resilience, and humanity.